So later on, we get a sequence with a truly terrifying setup to me, right? At Pierce's home, Pierce notices the Winter Soldier sitting silently in the
This
kitchen, right?
was so dark, eh?
I
I
know,
mean,
right?
yeah,
And
Trent.
at the same time, right? So Pierce's maid is leaving to go home. She's like, you know what? Take care. I'm out, Mr. Pierce, blah blah blah, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, this is the scene that pretty much the movie saying, yes, Pierce is the bad guy, right? And he hired the Winter Soldier to kill Nick. That's what the scene is about, right? So now Pierce wants him to kill Cap and Natasha. He has a 10-hour
Right.
window to do so because they got to launch Project Insight in a short period of time, right? So as he dropped that order, the maid show back up because she forgets she phoned. And then
Yeah,
the
Joe.
line Pierce drop is so cold-blooded. Oh, Renata, I wish you would have
Yeah.
knocked. And what make it so dark is that you thinking, like even watching it over, you're thinking Winter Soldier would have been the one to shoot her, you know. But no, Pierce just grab a gun off the counter, blah, 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 and that's it, boy.
Yeah.
And how they frame it too in the music is like, jeez, boy. Like,
Yeah, boy.
nah, boy.
Yeah, dreadness.
Real dreadness. So there's a great scene afterwards, right, where we see Sitwell, right, told you was going to get back to him, right, and he's talking to a senator by the name of Stern, right, played by the late great Gary Shandling. I didn't even know his name.
Right.
I just look it up like, oh yeah, right.
So that recontextualized Iron Man 2.
Yes, right, because he was in Iron Man 2 as well. Yes, I forgot that.
Right, and trying to push Tony for the suit and whatever it is. So
yeah.
It's like, so that was like an next level.
Yeah, so this great moment where Stern notices the pin on Sitwell's shirt collar, right? Well, the shield pin, right? And then Stern hugs him and whispers into his ear, "Heal Hydra." Brilliant. Love that, right? So point is, this is bigger than Shield, you know, like Hydra is everywhere, Dread. Well, at least in the context of this film here, right? So Sitwell now is accosted by Cap and Natasha because they suspect that he knew about Zola's algorithm, right? And assisting them is Sam, who, thanks to Cap, reacquired his Falcon wing pack, so this is the first time literally that we've seen him with the Falcon, suit and wings on. And yeah, see, for the first time I was like, yeah, we doing this look cool. Like that's the mechanics of it all, though, that still impresses me to this day, right?
So we skip, unfortunately, we skip over the part that was the joke in the 1990s Cap. So this is when they were going to the camp, I think. Sorry, it slipped my mind, but where you learn to steal a car.
Okay, so that's a reference to that film. Okay. All right, I'll make a note of that when I do, because I really do want to watch that 1990 film, sorry, right?
Right.
So fun fact, I remember this blowing people's mind when they recapped it, right? Yeah, when Sitwell pretty much telling everybody what's going on now, he calls out Bruce Banner and Stephen Strange. And you have to remember, this is 2 years before we got Doctor Strange, before he was even introduced into the MCU.
Yeah, he also drops Moon Knight, I think, where he says a reporter in Cairo. I swear he said that.
Okay, no, because I heard a reporter in Cairo, yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's Moon Knight. Yeah.
Wow, them.
These are the things that kind of make me, like, Kevin Feige ever so often will come out and say things like, we've had a board that has like a 20-year plan of, and you think about stuff like that, especially that report in Cairo thing, is like, oh wait, you do have a plan. That is the kind of stuff that kind of gives me a little bit more grace with them, in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, there's more. I don't think it's like a plan. They just drop it and say, right.
Yeah, it's a maybe thing. Maybe we'll get it. Maybe, I don't know. But
right.
But the plan itself, though, like when he talks about what the algorithm does, though, that is some insidious shit, right? So basically, he says that it's a program designed to pick specific targets, right? But it's based on what they will potentially do in the future. So it's judging all this through like bank statements and just info that you could, if you do like a set of Googling and digging up in the net, you'll find, right? But the idea is that once they become a serious threat to Hydra, Project Insight will waste them away a few million at a time. Jesus Christ. Wow, that is dark, right? And then we get the sequence that, for me, literally elevated the movie. This was the moment where I was convinced that I wasn't just watching one of the best superhero movies ever, but one of the best action movies ever. This is where Sam, Cap, and Natasha, they heading over to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters to try and stop Project Insight, right? Sitwell's in the back seat, and then suddenly somebody jump on top of the car, an arm punches through, pulls Sitwell out and throws him into another lane now, and he get hit by a truck, right? And it's the Winter Soldier.
You do the typical truck sound effect.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah. And yes, it is the Winter Soldier, and he's on top of the car, right? So I'm not even going to spoil what happens afterwards. You have to see that scene for yourself or rewatch it, boy.
Yeah.
But everything in that sequence is so masterfully executed. Or the pacing, the music. I love the music for this too. It gives me chills, right? The nail-bite intention, the action is all, again, built around this notion that these characters can die, Dread. Like, these characters are put in so much danger, though. Like, I was feeling it for Cap. I was especially feeling it for Natasha, though. Because remember, she going up against this badass killer with a metal arm, right? And how she goes about it too as well, right? Cap being smashed through, end up being smashed into a bus, and it's all that drama. And then on top of all that, you have all these strike commandos shooting at them, right? But yeah, that sequence is amazing, right? But the one thing that holds it back, looking back at it now, and I understand it's a creative call, they wanted to get butts in seats, right? But I felt that the trailer should not have spoiled who the Winter Soldier was.
Right.
Imagine if you saw that entire action sequence, right? And then when that mask comes off, and you there with Cap, and you see who it is, Dread. Bucky Barnes. Everybody who saw that for the first time would have lost their shit, Dread. But because it's spoiled in the trailer, it's like, well, we know who he is. Just waiting for the mask to come off. But I felt like if they had held back on it, boy, dog, that would have been such a great moment.
It's one of those things that because you know the comic, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. It's like, all right, they ain't gonna change that, so whatever. But as far as I consider the comic just we know it from the comic. So it's like, it's not a big deal one way or the other. Like, I don't know what they're to do with it or as it is, but yeah, they just pretty much did what they did in the comic. So I don't know, it didn't bother me too much. But yeah, I suppose they can leave it out to the marketing, to be honest.
But I mean, that's the issue when you have the persons who making the trailers, not the person making the movie.
Exactly.
They're just like,
right. It's
so
all of that.
There's that disconnect. I mean, look at Terminator. How many things in multiple Terminator trailers?
Well, pretty much every Terminator sequel is spoiled the big thing. Everyone, including 2. Like, if you go back and watch 2, they spoil it. Like, that was a big twist. Like, you had to know that payoff. Whatever. Point is, yeah, I get it. There's one. All right, so 2 things. There's one little dumb thing that does kind of bother me. Bucky has like a gun on his back, but it in the weirdest place. Like, why would you put a gun there? That is bother me.
Oh, you mean vertically? You mean?
Yeah, it's like the gun on the side.
Yeah, should it be pointed up? You know what I mean?
And weird. I read it really like how he put it on his back, but why there? Like it like that. Whatever. It just kind of weird for me. I know about it. But there's a lot of cool moments in this. That part with the chain gun.
Yes.
Where there's fire the minigun at Cap, and just push it back.
I am a sucker for miniguns in movies. I love when miniguns are brought into movies. Yeah. So yeah, when I see that, I was like, yes, I love that.
Yeah. But you're good. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Well, I don't know if y'all have anything else to say about how.
No, yeah. This whole action sequence was hard. Like, when Falcon grabbed the guy gun, threw him off, and then he started cover Cap. They're running. Then Natasha jumps off, and she used a little swing thing to swing and escape the explosion. And then she used a nice little trick with the cell phone for Bucky. That was a nice cool moment. I mean, just characters just being on point and just having their head on a swivel. And again, they're thinking, what Falcon and Black Widow, they ain't gonna do nothing. And then all 3 of them just kick so much ass together, though. Like, it was just hardness, though.
Speaking of that fight scene between Cap and Winter Soldier, don't mind it's shorter. That was so badass.
Wow. It was brilliant dance choreography.
Still one of the best fights, if not the best fight in the MCU, in my opinion. You can't go wrong with a good fight like that. Again, good action. Listen, I'm a big sucker for when a character have a knife and then they switch the hands and they fight with the knife.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with that. It's always hard. Every time. They foreshadow Bucky being Captain America. In this way, he grabbed the shield and you see him holding up the shield. Like, all right, that's a possible foreshadowing. So on and so forth. But they make it work. Hard. Real hard.
Right. So fun fact, right? There was so in the first film there was a good thing I recap it again. There's a moment where Cap was about to rescue Bucky because Bucky was captured behind enemy lines. Yeah, where he was mumbling some kind of like weird code. I forgot what it is right now, right? But Cap, while he's being hauled back to S.H.I.E.L.D. with Natasha and Sam, he presumes that Zola had already started doing tests on him when he got captured, right, back in the first one, right? Luckily, all that fight is real convenient. Maria was in the same vehicle just as one of the strike commandos, and she like knocked out a few guys and just escaped, right? And and they just drop like a nice little twist here. Yeah, Nick is alive and well in this like underground bunker / house, right?
The doctor. I think the doctor is one of the Russos.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah,
I should look it up. I should look it up, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean? I know my
I think
Nick
it's the same guy. I don't know if it's the same character, but it's the same guy who was in Endgame. Is him
in the therapy session.
Therapy session, right? I think it's the same actor.
Yeah.
Speaking,
right. I remember one of the Russos was there, right? Speaking of that therapy session, because I forgot to mention that Sam, as in Falcon, was he had one for soldiers who were going through like PTSD and stuff like that, right? I was wondering if that was the same room where they had the meeting in.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's the same room necessarily, but the idea is that he continues Sam's legacy because Sam got snapped. So that's the fallback, and it was a sequence in this movie. That's where it came from.
Okay, right. Cool. You're right, right? Yeah. So Cap now hatches this plan to take down the project inside helicarriers, right? And yeah, Shield / Hydra in the process, right? Because he wants to tear everything down at this point in time, right? To do so, he has to install these 3 devices to each guidance system, right? He even sneaks back into the Smithsonian and takes his old costume. I love that. Also points for having Stanley play the security guard.
Right.
But minor nitpick, right? It's not like the costume that Cap currently was rocking got burnt or messed up or whatever, but like thematically I understand because it's like the war that he was in and he going up against a former comrade, and I get, but like there was nothing wrong with the new costume though, but I understand he had to go back to basics so you get the old costume. I get it's a war.
It's what it represents, because the stealth suit, I like the stealth suit a lot, but I actually do prefer the original. Well, this is not really the original, but it's something really close, but not but it's pretty good.
Right, exactly, right. So on the morning of now, when the project Insight is being launched now, our heroes break into Shield / Hydra headquarters. Also, as you mentioned, Community, I was stoked to see Abed, Daddy Pooty. They're like, hey, Abed, getting that MCU money back then. Nice, right? And that's before friggin' Donald Glover was getting MCU money, right? So look at that, right?
So how many people from Community show up in the MCU? I think 2 or 3.
But Joel McHale never show up. Not to my knowledge.
Well, I know Shirley she showed up. She was in Endgame.
Yes, she was in Endgame.
Ken Jeong was there.
Ken Jeong, right?
Yes.
Mentioned that Danny Pudi as well too. I think is it just Steve?
Danny Glover. I've seen Danny Glover. Donald Glover show up too. In Homecoming, and
no, he's Prowler.
And Across the Spider-Verse, right? Yeah. So Cap now, because he accesses the intercom now, he encourages the good Shield agents to fight back against Pierce and his men, right? I love how it's all kind of set up like, you don't know who to trust. So
it's like very hard moment, Cap's orders.
yes, Cap's orders. I love that, right?
Orders, yeah.
Even Sharon and all too, joining in the fight as well too. I love that, right? So yeah, Cap and Falcon kicking ass. Natasha does her thing in Pierce's office. She does this Mission Possible kind of shit where she uses this kind of like face mask to assume the identity of one of the senior officers. That was cool. And then she proceeds to dump all of Shield / Hydra's files onto the net, right? And then Pierce brings up this point that her past will be leaked in the process, right? I love that, and it's kind of interesting setup for what we like you could tell like they was going to set it up for like a for the Black Widow movie, but because it takes so long to get it, it's just like, well, it don't really matter.
But that was like what made Pierce so insidious, because he's just using that kind of guilt and your past to say, well, you're gonna get taken down, so that's why you're gonna protect me, and so on. And yeah, it's a real world thing. That is one of the main reasons why a lot of evil is flourish, because you think you're trying to protect something that not really would protect you if you think about it, so on and so forth. And they did that with the guy with the I forget the guy. It was one of the world leaders now. He's like, yeah, well, what if we have a terrorist, blah, blah, blah. And, he's using all these, like, bullshit moral justifications to try to, get him to sign on effectively. And they made it really work as why he's such a good villain.
Yes. Right. So, meanwhile, Cap and Falcon, well, they each disable one of the helicarriers, right? And, Bucky show up real So going back, pulling a page from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Yeah, Bucky show up real T-1000 style, start busting shots at people. Well, basically it's the airstrike team that they were going to do. Well, they were going to assist Cap and Falcon, right? So yeah, Bucky show up now, start blowing up planes and whatnot.
I don't know if it's right before this.
Huh?
I don't know if it's right before this. So Cap tell him, if they're shooting at us, who's they can tell the good guys and the bad guys. That moment, right?
Yeah. They want to fire at us.
There's a really cool shot where he lands Cap on it, and Cap start running, but the camera starts zooming into his face while he start running. It's a great little moment, right? It's short, but pretty cool. Yeah, good.
Right. So back to Bucky. Dude, the man kick a guy onto like the kind of propeller thing on one of the planes.
Right. Which is from the first film.
Oh,
because Cap did that.
Damn. Yeah. What?
Which is similar to the first film because Cap kill a guy in the first film like that.
Yes. Which is very Raiders of the Lost Ark inspired, right? By the way,
right.
Even does his own variation of T-1000s Get Out, right? Where the moment, right, where he jumps on top of a plane, he shoots the pilot and then jump and fly away, right? So he doesn't even pull him out. He just shoot the guy and just jump in and fly out. I love that, right? So back to Natasha now. She sets out to disable the encryption, right? She can't because it could only be done by 2 alpha level members, right? So PS obviously is 1, right? And then, the other one show up, who is your boy Nick Fury, and the man pull up like a badass with the chopper or the helipad. It's reminiscent of like how he came in with it's reminiscent of the Avengers. That he did the same exact movement and whatnot, right? What is that, Tracy?
No, I was saying, and the wind just miraculously behind the coach as he walks into the room.
Yes.
Because it's not like he was outside where the chopper and you could understand the breeze. He walks inside the room, but suddenly there's this wind behind his coat in a very kind of Bollywood-esque.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have this blink and you missing moment, right, when PS talking to Nick about, how they share in the same fight and how it's a matter of time where some event could take place and you need to react, with Project Inside, right? So PS brings up a dirty bomb in Moscow.
Right.
Now I'm wondering now if Feige saw that and say, okay, I want the climax of the first episode of Secret Invasion, where Maria Hill died, by the way, to involve a dirty bomb in Moscow. I don't know. Again, I feel you're right. There's a Secret Invasion. We're back to this. It's like, dirty bomb. Okay, let's add this.
Yeah, again.
I know. Good times. Good times,
but they forget to write a good story. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, boy, pulling all these references like out to the
still fucking it up. Yeah.
But anyway, so Nick and PS have to do this retinal scan, right, to disable the encryption, right? So Nick is in the fool, so he says, I know you had my password erased and retinal data erased, right? And even Nick get to do a mic drop, so he says, if you want to stay ahead of me, Mr. Secretary, you need to keep both eyes open. He pulls out this eye patch, you see the scarred, blinded eye, right? And I can't remember if I did this, but when I was there, audience clap, and I think I clapped too. That's a great moment, right? Just how he dropped the line and how he revealed the scarred eye, you know what I mean? That was so great in my opinion. I love that, right? So, on to the last helicarrier now, right? So Bucky steps in to stop Cap, and we get like the final confrontation, right? And starts off strong. Bucky literally elbowing Cap off a ledge, and Falcon flies in to help. I love that Bucky grabs him though by one of his wings and throws him back onto the ground though. That was so badass, right? And in the process, one of Falcon's wings gets pulled off, and he's like, I can't go any further. So it's up to you now, Cap. So he has to get past Bucky, right? And the fight scene that happens afterwards is fantastic. That's in the helicarrier itself, right? And it pretty much ends with Cap choking out Bucky before he goes to put in the device, right? To disable it, right? So before he actually does that, now he's shot at a few times by Bucky, right? The algorithm, is activated, and the helicarrier proceeds to target thousands of people in DC and other states, right? So luckily, Caps kind of comes in and disables things just in time, right? But what he does now, he reduces the number of targets to 3. The 3 targets being the helicarriers themselves, right? And Maria now, she's kind of watching everything now. She kind of controlling things now. And, she's like, doesn't know what to do. And Cap's like, do it, right? And the helicarriers, start firing at each other. They bring them down one by one, right? So back now in PS's office, Nick finally get the chance to take down PS. So Nick got him down, boom, 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 and that's it, right? Oh, sorry, one shot to the heart, that's it, right?
I can't remember when people was targeted, what names you saw on that. No, the American president was on that list. Tony was on the list.
Honestly, I was just watching.
Yeah. I remember, I remember looking back and seeing who was targeted, especially. I think Doctor Strange was on the list. You could find everybody. It had some I was looking for Easter eggs when they do little quick shots like that. You gotta look for Easter eggs, whatever.
Okay,
but I know Tony and the president was on the list.
Right.
One thing that kind of confuses me about this, right, is that I thought it is just a targeting system, but it doesn't kill millions of people all at once. The idea is just you pick off people, slowly but surely, so nobody would notice. To say, hey, it does look like an accident. You pick up one person at a time. Probably you'll just target everybody in S.H.I.E.L.D. and all the Avengers, for example, maybe.
Right.
Anybody who's too powerful. And then over time, you'll pick up anybody who anybody could rally around as a leader now. So any baseball coach or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I never really got the sense that it is kill everybody all at once or millions of people at a time. That would be too obvious.
Yeah, I don't think it's literally at the same time. I think it's just one boom,
just
snap, boom, 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 one after the next. Just logically, I think that's how it plays, right?
Right. I always got the sense that it's a few per week or something like that, or per month.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I kind of played it the other way around because in my mind it was that Vandal Savage sensibility where Vandal was get rid of two-thirds of the earth, and then the 1/3 that remains will flock to a leader that will provide them shelter and security.
Right.
I assumed when they started to target them that they were actually going to destroy all 7 million of those people. And then the people who are left on the planet would be I don't know who to turn to. Let's turn to whoever it is that comes up with a plan. So
Okay, no problem.
Right. So reminiscent of his valiant effort in the first film, Cap going down with the ship, right? But he also have to save Bucky because he is pinned down by the debris, right? Sam, he do a little stuff as well too. He fighting Rumlow now. He is rescued by Natasha and Nick, via Nick's chopper because one of the helicarriers, just kind of smashing through the building as well too. I should mention too, even though it's a 2014 film, the visual effects still hold up, especially in this sequence where you've seen the helicarriers, falling out the sky and causing all this damage and debris. It looks great in my opinion, right? But they come just in the nick of time to save Sam, right? So back to Cap now. So Cap sees Bucky, and then we get the final section of the fight, right? Bucky being Bucky, that starts to aggressively punch him I don't know you, and start punching him in the face, right? And Cap being Cap, is what, you're my friend, right? He drops his shield and he says, well, the shield actually drops through a hole into the ocean, because I should mention these ships are going into the ocean, right? And he says, I'm not gonna fight you, right? So before Bucky gives his final death blow, the floor underneath Cap crumbles and he falls into the ocean, right? Similar to how Bucky met his fate in the first film when he fell off the train, right? And similar to Zola finding Bucky on the ground when he fell, Bucky saves Cap from sinking. He drags him out of the water and he walks away, and that's it, right? So outro time, set to that song from the Trouble Man soundtrack, right? Love that song.
Right.
Sharon becomes a CIA trainee. I don't know what how she ended up in the place in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but whatever. Maria becomes part of Stark Industries staff. I don't want to call her a receptionist, but that's how they show it in the film. Sorry. But anyway, the senator is brought in for questioning by the FBI. I can't remember if that's the last time we ever see him. I assume that's what happened. That's the last time. And a badly injured Rumlow is hospitalized, and you'll see him in Civil War, right?
Right, and they foreshadow him how he's injured with the cross on his chest.
Yes, right. Yes, you're right. Yes. Natasha and Fury are technically on the run because of their involvement in bringing down S.H.I.E.L.D. I like how it's all set up where, how do you expect us to trust you because, you try to bring down S.H.I.E.L.D. and you're saying that S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra. How can we trust you? Blah, blah, blah. And all this stuff especially with how they were grilling Natasha in particular, right? And you get that moment where she's talking about how how you need us. And this is a nice little reference here, but that is straight out of Skyfall, Dread, with M. In the court trial, and she talk about, why we need MI6 in the first place. They get that nice montage with James Bond doing his thing, and she's there talking about, why you need us. It's very similar. Again, you could tell that they pull from Skyfall with that, right? And Nick just decided, here's what, I just gonna fake my death, right? And I like just points for that. I even noticed it the first time when I saw the film, right? Points for the headstone with the Pulp Fiction reference in it, with the Ezekiel 25:17 quote, the path of the righteous man. I love that, right? So Nick sets out now to hunt down some Hydra agents in Europe. It would have been interesting last reference to Secret Invasion, I'll shut up, if that was where Secret Invasion took place. If it was right when he left, that film, right? But no, again, and I'll stop, right?
Weird not.
I don't.
Right.
But that was a great moment. They could have. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up. So Natasha now sets out to find a new part of her own, right? Even though because she doesn't work with Shield. It's kind of interesting looking back at it now that she still end up in Age of Ultron, right? But because you think that she probably would have come later on, in a future like let me just say for example she shows back up in something like Civil War, but she was just there front and center in Age of Ultron, like if nothing happened, right? Because how the show set up here is almost like we won't see her again, but she's just there literally in the next film. But whatever, moving on, right? And
I think it's really they just kind of connected to say, well, they're still there and the Avengers and Tony kind of foots in the bill anyway.
Mm-hmm,
so because Maria shows up in that as well.
Yes.
It's like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
And of course, Cap being Cap is like, all right, I need to find Bucky, right? And Falcon, yeah, I get to tag along with you. That's it. The end, we get this great, like, I love the end title sequence for this, especially with not just the music. The music for this is great, right? But that's the use of red, white, and black. You know what I mean? Red, white, and blue. Oops. You know what I mean? And black as well too. I should mention there's some black in it as well, right? And that's how they use American iconography and all that kind of stuff. I love that, right? But there's a mid-credit scene, man, right? Which shows up right after that, right? And it centers on some Hydra scientists examining, Loki's scepter and doing some experimentations on who will be kind of like the villains, in Age of Ultron. That will be the twins, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I love the final lines that the scientists drop. It's not a world of spies anymore, not even a world of heroes. It's the age of miracles. There's nothing more horrifying than a miracle. I love that it ends with Miguel Elizabeth Olsen, aka Scarlet Witch, just do that thing with a block. Boom, it bursts and it ends, right? It blows up, it ends, right? But wait, there's a post-credit scene as well too, right? So back at the Captain America wing at the Smithsonian now, someone is there standing at a memorial for Bucky Barnes, right? And it is Bucky himself, right? I love that they play the Bucky theme, and it just the Winter Soldier team, and it just sort of elevates, it just reaches fever pitch. It just reaches its fever pitch, it just ends, right? So for me, great scene and great way to end this movie, right? So last thoughts, and then I'm gonna get to read it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get to read it one time. This for me gets a 5 out of 5. See this movie before you die. This is one of the best films. Well, I should say one of my top 10 films of the 2010s. It was my favorite film of 2014. For me, it elevated the MCU even higher because at that point in time, we had the Avengers up there as the top, right? And then somehow the Russos say, here's what. We just going to inject political thriller. We're going to make this a spy action film. And we're still going to keep it within the world of the MCU trend. And we're just going to elevate the material, right? Just watching this after the first Avenger, but you just see the gradual shift of tone and pace. I think it totally works. But I like that it's always grounded on the ideals of what Captain America is and what he believes in, what he represents now, you know what I mean, as a hero, right? The writing though is great. The action scenes stellar. Some of the best I've seen in a movie, in my opinion, right? Just the tension though. The really at the heart of it all is the tension, right? That's what takes it. That's what draws me into the film, right? Every time I watch these action sequences, I'm always on the edge of my seat. I'm always there, like wondering, wow. Like even though I know how it's going to turn out, I'm there thinking at that second, at that moment, wow. What if Cap got shot? What if Cap dies here, right? Or Natasha or Sam or whatever it is, right? How they set up the whole Hydra thing though just blew me away, right? To the point that I'll confess this, because I kind of fell off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at around that time. So I didn't even see how this film ultimately affected the show though, unfortunately. I kind of caught back up until late, but I didn't see what happened. No, I know it impacted it, right? But I didn't see the impact play out when those episodes drop. I just kind of got into it late, right? And I kind of forgot what happened, to be honest, right? But yeah, though.
Well, it had a lot of like really interesting like beats that played out in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I thought was going to play out future, but they kind of dropped a lot of that. Like I thought Edward James almost was going to be relevant in Civil War, for example. But they set up a kind of Civil War kind of thing with him and the old almost S.H.I.E.L.D. thing, and so on and so forth. It had a bunch of like plot ends that they could have.
That's where they brought in Mockingbird,
Mockingjay, right, yeah, and all these characters, right, yeah, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it is a lot of threads that end up just getting dried out.
Yeah.
And then really.
You see, that's the problem when because the whole point of Agents of Shield was that it was meant to be a connective tissue to the films of itself. Whenever you see the things in it, and it just eventually just like what Thor was, them making a joke about the god of cleaning up after themselves, and nothing really played this. So it eventually just became its own, thing that could do whatever it needed to do.
Here's what I think happened. So this is more scuttlebutt stuff, but I suspect that all of this was because so much of Agents of Shield was connected to Isaiah Perlmutter that all of that just ended up getting dry out.
Right.
That's what I think happened.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Yeah. But just the mere fact that they elevate the material like this, though, that's why I could easily say this is the Dark Knight of this Captain America trilogy of sorts, because technically Cap's story ends with Endgame, right? But that's a whole other story, right? But yeah, I absolutely love this film. I own it on Blu-ray. It was great. Rewatched it there. I just be reminded of sitting in IMAX when the first I watched it with you, Ricardo, right? And I'll close this, right? As far as it being the best MCU movie ever, because that was just something that, like myself and a lot of people love to see, right? Yeah, best MCU movie was Captain America: The Winter Soldier, right? How I could answer this though simply is like this, right? It is my favorite solo MCU movie, right? I'll put like say Black Panther or Iron Man, like right now. Iron Man and Black Panther, they could fight for the number 2 slot. So I can't really say which one is number 2 basically. But yeah, as far as a solo MCU movie, that is my number 1, right? But it is not my all-time favorite MCU movie. Or just I guess I have to think about it really, right? Because I still have spots, especially in my best of, like for the decade, in my top 10. For Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. I actually rate those above the first Avengers, right? Agree to disagree, but I rate those higher, right? And that's why for me, when it came to like doing my ranking for top 10 in that section, I had I had Captain America with the Soldier and Civil War. I thought that Civil War was a great follow-up, and where they end that particular section of Cap's story was great, right? Even though, yes, it is juggling, it's spinning a lot of plates, but still at the end of the day, it is, a Cap story, and it follows after, Winter Soldier. So I had to kind of pair those two, right? But yeah, that's the best way I could sum it up. So no, I can't really say it's the best MCU movie out there. I really have to like sit down and think about what is my top favorite. And what I mean is not just solo, but it's solo and super team stuff, right? So super team stuff could be like Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy or stuff like that, right? But if it came down to it, and I just had to, like, if it just were to ask me on the spot, I would say yes. I would say this one is top for me, right? And yeah, 10 years after seeing it for the first time, it still impresses me. It still blows me away. It still thrills me. It still excites me and entertains me. And yeah, I imagine myself 10 years from now seeing the same exact thing. So yeah, 5 out of 5. Absolutely love this film. One of the best superhero films of all time. One of the best action movies of all time. Agree to disagree. See ya, Julien, final thoughts and rating. And you could answer the question of whether if you think this is the best MCU movie or not.
Yeah, yes. As I said, still remains the best for me. And I think that there's the one scene which you didn't mention is the scene where Winter Soldier is fighting Falcon. And Falcon tries to fly away, and Winter Soldier grabs his wing and slams. And I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that scene, but yeah, that scene does stand out to it because like crack, blow, trim away, like trim back onto the ground. That was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's just one of so many fantastic action sequences. And for me, the action is top notch. I love the story, is so well done. I love the twist in it. So yeah, I mean, Infinity War has more spectacle and it's this big thing going on, and Endgame has a big ending, everything. But for me, from start to finish, I love everything. As I say, I agree with you. It's like Dark Knight, I could just pull out a random scene and enjoy it. With a Solar, I could pull out any random scene. Endgame, I kind of shuffle through a bit, that kind of the middle building up stuff. It's like, okay, can we get the story going? But nah. With the Soldier, I love it from start to finish. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
Nice. Ricardo, final thoughts on rating, and I guess you can reveal what is your favorite MC movie. Unless you don't want to reveal it though, that's fine, you know.
Yeah. The thing is, so it does make my number one. The number one is Infinity War. Big,
Nice. I don't
big
mind
hand.
so. I don't mind so. Yes.
Yeah, big and bold. They really nail it in terms of it. I prefer Infinity War slightly over this, but it's
And sorry to
still
cut you there, but of course, dog, just seeing that climax play out with characters disappearing, though, I will never forget seeing this in IMAX
yeah,
and hearing people
yeah,
go,
hard.
oh God, nah, man,
yeah,
oh gosh, man.
yeah.
When, especially when
Yeah.
Black Panther went out. Yeah,
You know?
that is a great moment. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's that they just but yeah, the Winter Soldier is pretty high up as well. It's just so much of this works, really gritty, grounded action. Great plot again. 3 Days of the Condor stuff. It really works. Real tension. A lot of just it feels really serious and they have a lot of surprising mythos and weight to the material, and they make it work for what it does. This I rate this very very high. Like a 9 out of 10, 9.5, very very high, almost a perfect movie for me.
And last but not least, Tracy, final thoughts, rating, and is this the best MCU movie ever or not?
Well, okay, I will speed through parts of it because I have one little tiny thing to say. So for me, this is like a 4 out of 5, 9 out of 10 kind of something. I really don't have any issues with it. It's brilliant. It's masterful, and like I said, it's one of those films where I don't have to, like when you rewatch something and you have to kind of fast forward through some things because it's like, okay, we move on. I don't feel that way with the Winter Soldier. So like I can sit down and enjoy it narratively. I will say like there is that scene where Bucky and Steve is fighting, and Steve says that I'm with you to the end of the line, and he doesn't, see him as a villain, and he throws the shield down. I always go back to Snyder, and I always go back to. I mean, I see Saw when it comes to Snyder. One minute I think, well, maybe the industry needs him, but when you have a character like Captain America, who is basically the Boy Scout, and then you have Superman, who is essentially the Boy Scout kind of character of DC. And you have that character stripped down to the point where he says, and I will always go back to this, maybe there's nobody stays good in this world, and then it has a screwed up face and then goes to fight Bruce in the most ridiculous fashion ever. And then you pin that against the human Superman, for want of a better way of putting it, in Captain America, who, no matter all the things that goes down, is still able to keep the essence of who he is, to the point of, I'm not going to fight my friend anymore. I'm here to save my friend, even if it means having to die. That is good storytelling. And so for that, I will always give the Russos credit for. Outside of this film, I have very strong opinions in terms of my love for the Eternals and for what the Eternals, I feel, brought to the table. I remember sitting down and watching it and saying, this is the most anti-MCU to date film, but at the same point in time, it fits within the MCU. And it's the same kind of way with Winter Soldier. And, going back and seeing things like Winter Soldier and even the very first Captain America kind of makes me a little sad, because while I still have a great deal of faith in Marvel and I'm willing to accept, okay, certain missteps or whatever, these were the seasons when you didn't have a whole bunch of humor over killing the thing. It wasn't, a whole bunch of skittles on screen. It was, this is a story and this is how we see it. It's like little drops of humor, like when Sam says, I made breakfast if you guys eat that kind of thing. That kind of small hints of humor, as opposed to, I will never understand why Wong is just laughing his head off at the end of Doctor Strange after that big Dormammu. It's like things like that. By the time you get the season to phase 3 into phase 4 and 5, you realize, oh my God, it's too much of an overload. And so for that, I wish that maybe the storytellers within Marvel would go back and look at, I don't need every film to be Winter Soldier. I don't. And I don't need it to have that same kind of vibe as the Winter Soldier. You want to make something fun and irreverent, make something fun and irreverent, but keep to the story heart of it. That is what I feel needs to come back to the MCU. But that's my rant aside. Winter Soldier is best. I could watch it at any given point in time. That's
Yeah, and lastly though, just at the moment, like I said before, just keeping my fingers crossed that Captain America: Brave New World actually delivers on the idea of a new Captain America, an African American Captain America, which they set up very well with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Why that matters. I just hope they really don't drop the ball. You know what I mean, with that one, because he is such a beloved character, and especially with how the MCU developed that character. Yeah, he is a fan favorite, like a genuine fan favorite. So I hope that they don't drop the ball with this new incarnation of Captain America.
I kind of honestly feel like it's not just up to Marvel, because we already know that once you start to have a character with a different skin tone, and that's another conversation, a character with another skin tone or a quote unquote more diversified cast or something like that, you already have the bros and whoever it is who are going to open up their face. So like there's a whole bunch of things that are already working against Brave New World. The story has to be top, but I know that's going to end up having a whole set of scene with it as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, again, keeping fingers crossed though. But for what it's worth, we did get a solid trilogy out of this, and a great ending to the Steve Rogers saga with Endgame. So yeah, we'll see what comes next with Sam Wilson, with Brave New World, man. So we'll see.